Now, a couple of years ago, Catherine and I went to see a musical about everyone's favourite Lord of Time called I Need a Doctor, as it was touring around the UK. And it was, well, what would you say, Catherine?
Out of this world?
Out of this world. I like it. Playing the lead role in the show was comedian James Wilson Taylor, who since then has gone from strength to strength, writing for the Ministry of Sound and The Guardian, and is in the middle of his latest comedy tour, Ginger is the New Black, in which he tries to demystify the redhead and make us all fall in love with copper tops all over again. We're very pleased to welcome him to the show tonight. Hello, James.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Oh, very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Nice to chat to you.
We've got our party hats on here celebrating 50 episodes, so very exciting.
Congratulations. That's a big milestone, man. It's underestimated. That is a big milestone. Congrats, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks very much. First off, let's talk about the Who Tkul. What on Earth, or outside of Earth, ever inspired you to do a musical based on Doctor Who?
Yeah, it was a weird one, It was I was at drama school at the time, and we had a kind of final project where you just had to come up with 15 minutes of something. They didn't tell you what it had to be. It just had to be something. So me and my mate Jess, who was in the show as well, obviously, we kind of put together 15 minutes of something based around Doctor Who that we just thought would be funny, and it just kind of got such a good reaction. We kept running with it, really, and I that's basically how I discovered that I really liked writing my own stuff. So yeah, it was just because we were fans and wanted something fun to do at the end of term, but then it developed into this Edinburgh show that just kind of ran and had a bit of a life of its own, really. We definitely didn't expect it to keep going as long as it did. Kind of came out of coursework, and we got a bit lucky that it actually ended up working, really.
I thought it was wonderful. I don't think I've laughed as much at a Dalek before as one made out of a laundry basket.
That was very good.
Yeah, a full-size wheelie bin. I think that's the way forward. If they ever have BBC budget cuts, again, that's what they should go for, definitely.
Full-size wheelie bin.
And it was just, I think it was, I didn't really know what to expect when I went to see it. Part of me was quite excited, and another part of me was a bit scared.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of that from the fans, which was quite nice in a way. I quite liked catching people off guard with it, because it is... I think a lot of people, because they're such fans of Doctor Who, they do treat it with, a lot of reverence and a lot of love, which is great, but they get very wary when someone else has a go at it. So it was nice to be able to do something really unexpected with it, which I think we did.
Well, I certainly laughed.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And obviously this week we've heard that Peter Capaldi will be regenerating at the end of the year. That's really big Who news. Who do you think should play the new Doctor?
So I've been thinking about this, right? It is a tricky one. Someone was saying Olivia Colman in the press a lot. I guess that's because there's the Broadchurch connection with Chris Chibnall coming in, which makes a lot of sense, and I think she'd do a great job. But I don't know. I just learned over the last couple of regenerations that you got to kind of ignore all the bigger names in the press that get thrown around, because I kind of want it to be someone I've never heard of. Do you know what I mean? Like even you think of David Tennant's like this massive star right now. When he first popped up on Doctor Who, I didn't really know who he was, and even less so with Matt Smith at the time. So I kind of hope they go back to the idea that it's someone who's kind of up and coming, and this will give them a big platform. So I don't really know who that is. I mean, in terms of established stars, yeah, there's some great names being bandied around, but I kind of like it to be someone that I can discover in this role a little bit.
I like the Broadchurch connection with Chris Chibnall, and thinking of Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She had a part in the series 2 of Broadchurch, and I really think she's fantastic. So I quite like to see that.
Yeah, she would be a very good choice, actually. That's a very fair point. And again, I suppose she's got well known because she was in Fleabag and stuff as well. So she's getting well known.
Just kind of breaking through.
I suppose at that level. Yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to give someone like that who's had a really good up and coming year a big platform. All right, I'll go for Phoebe then. Let's go for her.
No, I don't want to talk you around.
It really is a broad church of people that could play the Doctor, isn't it?
There it is.
So you mentioned that Doctor Who was a bit of an inspiration for your coursework. Then, have you always been into sci-fi? How does it influence your work?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I sort of kept going down the path. I mean, I've got a new show now, but when we wrapped up the Doctor Who show, I wanted to do my first solo show, which I did at Edinburgh again that year at the Pleasance, and that was all about Batman. I went back and I was like, what other kind of topics did I love as a kid? And I realized that Batman was probably the biggest one. So I did a show called Batfan up there in time for Batman vs Superman coming out, which we then toured around the UK and stuff, which again was completely fun. So like it feeds into the work that way, I guess. When you've got a topic that you have a childhood connection with, I guess, is the main thing. It's easy to write about. And with Batman as well. Like the problem with the Batman show is I could never do it again now because it looks like the Lego Batman movie is about to make every single joke I ever made in that show. But like when there's something like that, you can properly take the pick out of a bit and run with it. It's a lot of fun. And I think it's the same with Doctor Who and a lot of sci-fi stuff. You watch it as a kid and you grow up with it. So it does feed into the stuff I've done later on.
You kind of keep that childish sense of imagination with the stuff you grew up with. I think you never quite lose that sort of imaginary world and everything that you create in your own mind.
Yeah, of course. I mean, especially with when we did the Doctor Who show, it was us still playing dress up in the garden, but on a bigger scale and a little bit older. And with people actually paying to watch, which is nice. But yeah, that's the most fun in the world. Got to keep that going.
We always tend to ask our guests a question about food. My fault. I just love food.
Okay.
But thinking about food and sci-fi, if there is any fictional dish from science fiction that you could try, what would it be?
You know what? I'm going to sort of cheat on this one, but I think it works with it. So fish fingers and custard, right? Obviously Doctor Who. It's an obvious one, but I keep meaning to try this, right? There's a chocolate brand I've seen in some novelty shop in London that does a white chocolate that's fish fingers and custard flavored. And I keep walking past and kind of meaning to buy it, and I've not got around to it yet. So I think that's one that I could sort of cheat on, and I can try that without actually having to try dipping some actual bird's eye fingers into some ambrosia.
Yeah, it's just like dipping your fish fingers in a sweet sauce.
Oh yeah, I had to try it.
Oh, well, fair enough then. Matt Smith said he did do it, didn't he? He did it on camera, right?
I heard that the fish fingers that he dipped were actually like a nougat thing. They weren't real fish fingers.
Oh, well, that's very disappointing then. Well, I don't know. Did you try
I only
it
heard that. It might not be
true.
true.
Okay, yeah, it's rumor. Did you try it with hot custard or cold custard? That's the main thing.
It was hot custard.
It was hot.
Okay, I think that makes a difference. I don't think I could hack it with cold custard. I think you get the skin on it and everything. It would just go horribly wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just to gross everyone out on a Friday night. There you go.
But custard aside, then, what does geek culture really mean to you?
I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it's on the one hand, it's really personal. Like you say about growing up with these characters and stuff, which I think we do, and especially when I was doing the Batman show on my own, you realise how much you've sort of grown up with these characters, and you have your own personal stories around it. But on the other hand of it, it's just a massive community thing, which is awesome. And we discovered that with the Doctor Who show in particular, people kids turning up in costume, man. That was the best. Kids turning up in their full Doctor Who costume, wanting pictures with our little non-copyrighted version of K9 called K10, that kind of thing. It was just so sweet. So I guess that's what it means to me, and I've only discovered that later on when we were doing these shows. But yeah, it's a massive community, and it's an amazing thing, and not to be sniffed at all.
So rather than looking back to what you were doing, why not tell us a bit more about your new show, Ginger is the New Black?
Yeah, so the idea is it's basically just rebranding ginger people for 2017. I wanted to try something new. Like I say, the last two shows were all about geek culture and stuff. I wanted to try and see if I could do a show that was about something completely different and a completely wider topic. So yeah, it's all about being ginger. What happened was I set up a Facebook group just with the title of the show when I was writing it, to plug the Edinburgh run, and I got one Facebook comment on the group saying that ginger's an abomination and the page should be shut down and shouldn't be encouraged. So the entire show is me trying to convince this Facebook commenter that they are wrong by disproving all the ginger stereotypes. I'm going to prove why gingers can be sexy. They are not angry. They are not evil, which is another weird stereotype. And then lots of silly songs and stuff like that all the way through that I've done in the previous shows. There's a song where I open the show dressed as Ed Sheeran doing what I think is a pretty accurate Ed Sheeran-esque song. So that's the opener, and then we'll finish on the Annie medley. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And again, what's been really nice is just having rooms full of fellow gingers coming out of the woodwork. It's so surreal. We did the first gig of the tour the other week at the Lowry up in Salford, and you had about 170 redheads in this room in Manchester. It's just so surreal, but really, really fun.
I think it sounds wonderful. I think an audience of gingers and ginger lovers, maybe.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. A nice mix, yeah.
Count myself in the latter category there. I think I'm going to have to book a ticket for every single one of these.
That's the way to do it.
So what is it actually like to perform at a comedy festival like Edinburgh?
I mean, I'm lucky. I grew up in Edinburgh, so I was kind of very, very familiar with the way it works. And my other half's a theatre producer as well, so she'd been up doing various things there for a few years. So I think that kind of gave me a little bit of an advantage because places to target. So I did the last two shows, the Doctor Who show and the Batman show we did through the Pleasance, and then this one I did through the Underbelly, and those are like some of the really major venues. So we've been very, very lucky there. So yeah, the experience of that side of things and getting to work in a big professional environment is amazing. In terms of the day-to-day stuff, it's knackering. Like, you are constantly tired by like midway through the second week, but at the same time, like, you do feel like you've achieved something. Like, I remember I watched. Sorry, it's a massive sidetrack. I remember I watched on Netflix Hannibal Buress, the US comedian. He's got a great documentary about going and doing Edinburgh at the Pleasance a couple of years ago. And he says at one bit of it, someone asks him, like, why are you doing it? And he says, it's because if I do the same show every single day for a month, there's no way I'll come out of the other side not a better comedian. And that's the main thing you take away from it. Like, even if you start out terribly, there's no way if you do the same show every day for a month, you're not going to come out on the other side and have improved at least a little bit. So yeah, it's so worth it. I would honestly recommend it to anyone who wants to write their own thing or perform their own thing. Like, it's the place to do it, Edinburgh. Unbelievable.
Oh, it's amazing. You know, we've been doing this for 5 series now, and I'd like to think we're a little better at it now than when we started.
Of course. I mean, it's the way these things work, man. It's nice to have things like podcasts as well, 'cause in the same way, Edinburgh Fringe is perfect for that. You get people of all abilities going up and just trying it.
So, in your opinion as a comedy expert, or rather the comedy expert on the show right now, how can we be funnier? I'd like to be funnier. How do I do that?
You'd like to be funnier?
Cream pie in the face, or?
Doesn't really work on radio.
Yeah, costumes help. Silly voices. No, I don't know. It's so weird, isn't it? Because I think it's a comfort thing, you know. I've noticed this through stand-up and also from doing our podcast. It's a comfort thing, and you can hear it already with you guys. Like, if you know each other really, really well and you're relaxed with each other, then the conversation becomes naturally funnier. Do you know what I mean? Does that sound fair?
It does, but silly voices help, you reckon?
Okay, go for a silly voice as well.
Okay, well,
any accent.
We're here on the show. Why did I suddenly go to Mickey Mouse? No copyright infringement intended when I went with that
immediate
voice
jump.
Well, hey there, sports fans! I don't know why I suddenly went to that voice. Catherine, do a silly voice.
Oh, you know I can't do anything on cue.
Fair enough. Your voice is silly enough.
Yeah. So, if any of our listeners are aspiring comics, do you have any advice or any more advice for them?
Yeah, I've kind of said it all, I guess. I mean, just getting out and do it. I have had a load of mates who it's been really nice. They've sort of started taking up stand-up now, but I know that first step is so painful in a way. It's like, I know so many people who keep saying that, I need to go up and do some stand-up, but they can't quite bring themselves to book an open mic. I think just do it. I think that's the way to do it. And I'm lucky, you know, being based in London, there's so many open mics available to people of all levels. So just get online, find one that's a beginner one, and just get up and see what happens. Like, what's the worst that can happen, really? Do you know what I mean? Like, I know that everyone always is worried of embarrassing themselves, but realistically, if you're going to get up and tell 5 minutes of jokes, the worst that can happen is that they're not going to laugh. And once you're over that in your head, you'll be fine, and then you get better.
Well, I'm fairly used to people not laughing at me.
You'll be fine then. There you go. All
Lovely.
good.
If our listeners would like to come and see Ginger is the New Black, or just indeed sit in a room full of redheads, how can they do that?
So we're on the tour now. There's a few dates that haven't been announced yet, but dates currently on sale are in, I think, Harrogate. We're doing Glasgow Comedy Festival in March. We're doing Derby in May. And yeah, there's a few more that are still to be announced. So basically, if they follow me on Twitter, it's just search James Wilson Taylor. And I'll be putting all the dates up there as we go through the year.
Was it intentional that you went for cities with high populations of ginger people already?
Well, I mean, I don't know the exact stats, but yeah, Edinburgh was certainly an eye-opener, I must say that. It was a much easier sell at the Fringe than any show has ever been before, because it's like, the market's already here.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to us this evening about comedy, about Doctor Who, about gingers. Mm-hmm. I suppose it's always good. And, really pleased that somebody is out there breaking down those walls and dispelling those myths. It is about time we had justice.
Absolutely, yeah, that's what I'm going for.
Now, we always ask our guests on the show to pick a song to play after their interview. So what have you chosen for us this evening?
So I was thinking long and hard about this. And the one that we've been blasting in the office all day is Prince, because the anniversary of the death's coming up in a couple of months, and I was a huge Prince fan growing up. And I also think, weirdly, even though he didn't do anything really sci-fi influence, he sort of felt a bit otherworldly and alien, didn't he? He sort of felt like he could have come from another galaxy. So I'm going to go with let's go with When Doves Cry, Prince.
We'll play that now for you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.